Open your mind and journey through the cosmos of the universe. This is Bridging Realms with Dr. Gene Carlisle and False Freedom 691.
Guys, welcome to the third part of our series on the Blue Planet Project. Tonight we are going to be talking about the Greys.
Yeah, these are, your basic gray aliens. These things are super fucking popular. We've seen them throughout pop culture for a very long time now, They're everywhere, from t-shirts, fucking coffee mugs, movies, right?
Yeah, and sometimes they're confused with, like, the little green men, but it's not exactly the same thing.
Yeah, no, not Martians. No, not little green men, not Martians, not, like, fucking Marvin the Martian, or any shit like that, and not, like, maybe mini reptilians. Those could be, like, little green men sort of thing. No, or who's the fucking guy with Fred Flintstone?
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
That would be,
Was he was a Martian, right?
He was a Martian.
Fred Flintstones had some real fucking ancient alien shit going down.
It really did.
The writers
yeah.
fucking knew what they were doing, dude.
Yeah, they really, show was kind of ahead of its time, and, it's really interesting to get a look at life back then like that. It's really a lot more advanced than you think it is when you watch that show.
Yeah, what was his name? Like Zazu or some shit?
Yeah, it was something
like
that.
Was it the Great Zazu? I don't know.
Right? Yeah, the Great Zazu.
Suzuki.
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
I don't fucking know. He talked to a fucking Martian. He was a caveman. They lived in the time of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
The Flintstones is one of the most esoteric goddamn shows out there, folks. Like, I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Well, and they don't teach cars that you run to make go.
Right.
They don't teach that in school.
No. Folks, we encourage you, go back and watch the Flintstones. Like, fucking light one up, go back and binge some of that. You'll have your mind blown by some of the material. We may have to cover them on a, predictive media sort of episode in the future, because there's so much shit hidden in there.
Yeah, and you think about, like, if you worked in, like, precious metals back then, like, you probably weren't even doing that good, because, like, there was an abundance of
right.
precious metals before we raped the earth.
And for sure.
Just like that, those were probably the real peasants, the guys who sold precious. They just couldn't even give a diamond away,
Yeah, the engagement rings on the Flintstones were fucking huge.
Yeah, seriously,
right?
That rock on Betty's fucking finger.
Yeah. I mean, like, Barney had to get her something nice, but, like, they don't make that much money. Like, Barney and Fred are both blue-collar workers. How can they afford these rocks unless they're, like, cheap as fuck,
Yeah, and those guys are not cut out for management either. You remember when Barney, like, got the management job, and I mean, it was fucked. He was not a good manager to Fred, and Fred just, like, Fred represented America at that point.
Yeah, we urge you, folks, get on there, on whatever streaming service or pirating service that you use, and look up the Flintstones, binge that shit, and enjoy it with some friends and some joints, some blunts, whatever you like, however you want to party it up while you watch this. Have a good time with it, but really, like, allow yourselves to open your minds, bridge those realms, and take in this information, and really, like, think about the time period this was released and the time period in which it's set. Hanna-Barbera fucking knew what they were doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they really kind of conquered an area that historians couldn't quite get their head around.
Yeah, really mind-blowing shit. Check out the Flintstones, folks. I guarantee it's not the show you remember, but it is, but it's not. So our last episode about the Blue Planet Project, it focuses on one of the most prolific races of aliens that I think have interacted with humankind. They're definitely the most popular. They're very recognizable universally on Earth as an alien or an extraterrestrial, and that's the Greys, the Grey alien race, or the Greys as they're known.
Yeah.
And they've been seen, I mean, for a long time now, right? False?
Right, for sure.
I mean, you're not even as much of an alien guy as myself, but you know what these guys are, pretty much. You've heard.
Yeah, and the Greys are really probably the most portrayed by the media. Yeah,
right, they're pretty
I have to
mainstream.
say, yeah. Even, like, so we have the Men in Black. You guys are obviously familiar with the Men in Black. The Men in Black show up, erase memories after questioning about alien encounters specifically, but
right.
Like there's a lot of rumors that the Men in Black themselves are actually Greys, and it's almost an alien extraterrestrial investigation into you.
Right. We have seen these reports that the Men in Black, had these almond-shaped eyes that were bigger, almost like they were hybrids or something, or like it was the gray alien projecting an image into our mind that they couldn't quite hold, So you were seeing little faint pieces of this alien that was actually in front of you glitch in, but you're still seeing the human that they're wanting you to see, or this humanoid figure.
Yeah, and it's kind of like this friend I used to have, Melvin, and Melvin, like me and Melvin, we'd get real fucked up. Like we'd drink cough syrup,
Right.
We'd get a couple bottles of fucking cough syrup, and I found out after a while.
Robo tripping.
Yeah, robo tripping. But Melvin wasn't actually drinking the fucking cough syrup, and the next day he would always show up to my mom's.
Yeah.
And Melvin would be in a suit that's like 2 sizes too big for him, and he's got some glasses on, and he's sweating profusely. But Melvin was always sweating profusely. I guess I don't really have to add that.
Right.
Melvin, if you're out there, man, they got deodorant for people like you, just for people like you, Melvin. It's like, it's clinical strength, Melvin. But Melvin would show up to me at my mom's house, and he'd flash a fucking flashlight in my eye and just hold it there and be like, what do you remember from last night? What do you remember? And I'd be real fucked up on that cough syrup, and
right.
Melvin hadn't done any of it. So I'd trip out and do all kinds of crazy shit, I mean, there's no telling what I'd fuck. Or like, and Melvin would be like, do you remember me jacking off? Do you remember me jacking off? And no, Melvin, I don't. You
didn't remember Melvin jerking off?
No, and he'd ask me that every time, and I don't remember
every time.
that. Every time, yeah. I mean, it didn't happen all the time. I mean, God, it had to be below like 45 times,
Okay, so this is a pretty common occurrence then.
Not really. I mean, when you consider there's 365 days in a year, and only 45 of them I get high on cough syrup, and Melvin asks me if I remember him jacking off. It's really not that common. It happens to less than it happens less than it doesn't happen.
No, I get that. If
you get what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's not that common. So basically, like, your friend Melvin is kind of Tommy Lee Jonesing you with this flashlight, this makeshift like shitty version of some sort of neuralizer. He's flashing it in your eyes. So he's asking you what you remember, but then just openly telling you that he jerked off in front of you.
Yeah,
but framing it as a question, so you question whether it happened or not.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
And it's only happening about 1/6 of the year.
Shit, sorry, you're gonna have to edit those out, False. Folks, sorry, I'm just enjoying a little medical marijuana here in Studio 51. False, of course, is staying sober with a keen mind.
Yeah, I try to keep my mind like that ever since the robo tripping days. I feel like I lost a lot back then.
except for the claws. This dude will pound some White Claws.
Yeah, I don't think White Claws really get you drunk though, because they're so hydrating, you know. So, and I think really that's what makes you get drunk is getting dehydrated off that alcohol. So,
Right, you're basically just drinking a LaCroix.
yeah, so
Just water.
You know, I'll finish off a case of those a day.
That's
for
healthy.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this False has definitely been paying attention to health more, and we're going to get into an alternative health episode for sure coming up. That is definitely coming up because we care about the health of you, the listener. We care about our own health and how we're being lied to in mainstream medicine. You know, so we're going to get into some alternative medicine and stuff like that in the future, just like we're getting into alternative thought here and some of these alternative beings that are going to be introduced in the future with disclosure, because disclosure is here. It's definitely fucking here. False. It is all over the mainstream media, mainstream television and cable. Really slamming into the mainstream, much like the mainstream is slamming White Claws.
And Bridging Realms is over here slamming disclosure. Not just White Claws, slamming disclosure. And we are slamming it right to you.
Right. We want hard disclosure, which we've talked about before. We want hard disclosure, and the government is not giving us that. They have set up what we call these 4 harbingers of disclosure. These are CIA puppets, basically, put in place. We've seen this kind of stuff done before in the past, and now we've got, you know, Tom DeLonge with To the Stars, and we've got the Ancient Aliens crew, which, you know, I'm fans of these people, and I'm going to watch their stuff. I'm going to support the community, but I can't help but question, is this stuff CIA written, CIA approved? What do you think? False.
Yeah, and you know, it makes me question with Tom DeLonge toting this fucking piece of metal he got, you know?
Yeah, fucking space metal,
yeah,
right?
The space metal, and it's got me wondering, like, what's the motivation? Who did he get this space metal from? Did the government just straight out give him space metal?
Yeah, I'm wondering, is it our government? Did another government give him space metal? Did a nefarious, maybe clandestine organization give him space metal? Who does he work for, basically, you know? We get that, you know, they have To the Stars Academy, but it's full of all these, you know, elite, high-ranking former government insiders and, you know, a number 1 selling pop punk artist, you know? So it's like, are they actually giving out real disclosure, or could this be some stuff that's riddled with misinformation like the government has done in the past?
Is Luis Elizondo a big Blink-182 fan? Maybe does he have a kid that's a big Blink-182 fan?
Those are the questions that they're not fucking answering, really, and I've had an issue with that. Like, I watched all of Unidentified, like, we watched it. We studied this show, and they never answered those questions we wanted to hear. Did any of the To the Stars team listen to Blink-182 before joining To the Stars Academy with Tom DeLonge? Did he play them Angels and Airwaves tracks?
Would you just let any dipshit with about $50 million show up to your door and say, quit the government, we're chasing these UFOs on our own? Or
right.
Does it have to be a Blink-182 dipshit?
Right, that's what I'm wondering. Like, does Lou Elizondo, like, have The Adventure playing when Tom comes into the room, just to show, like, hey man, I listened to your stuff, I'm a fan, you know, even though that's like the one, you know, mainstream overplayed song, and he should really get into some deep cuts that are a little bit better. Does that happen?
But I'm thinking, what if The Adventure is a deep cut to him because he's just mostly used to the Blink-182 stuff, and he just kind of pulls up The Adventure and he's like, puts it on, and he's like, you know, I bet he's fucking sick of hearing "I miss you."
Right,
you know,
right.
so-
It's like, oh yeah, check. I listened to your current band. You know, I listened to this
Yeah.
other band that you're in.
Yeah, and that doesn't even really get us started on the Giorgio and the crew over at Ancient Aliens.
Right, they have like 9 shows, 9 spin-offs or whatever of Ancient Aliens. Plus, like, I mean, 14 seasons they're going on now. It's an institution for the History Channel. And then you've got people with shows like Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, conspiracy theory. And I gotta admit, I'm pretty partial to conspiracy theory with Jesse Ventura. You got Jesse Ventura, you get a cameo from Oliver Stone, you get some early Alex Jones, and then you got Jesse and Oliver Stone's loser-ass sons. You got
Right.
those motherfuckers mooching off Jesse Ventura, and they're like exploring Skinwalker Ranch, filming lights and shit.
That's a fucking good combination there.
Yeah.
And I would recommend that show too. He can definitely shout a conspiracy theory at you. He's definitely good at that, and I like the way he does it.
Yeah, celebrities with loser-ass sons, like, if any of you are listening, put him on a fucking TV show. We've seen Nicolas Cage's loser-ass metal son. You know,
Right.
that dude should get a TV show. Let him fucking investigate something.
Yeah, fucking Rob Lowe did it.
Oh, yeah, he put both his loser-ass sons out there, like, investigating ghosts, finding Bigfoot,
Right.
all kinds of shit.
Right, and that was just insane. It's like, what the fuck are you doing this for, Rob Lowe? Like, is it like to get more in touch with your sons or whatever? Like, I mean, seeing their relationships progress on the show as they're searching for these paranormal things that they never really find was like surprisingly, touching, and it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, and you can totally tell that, like, Rob Lowe is exactly as much of a dick as you expected him to be in public and everything as well.
Right. I would not recommend that show. I'm gonna go ahead and say from Dr. Gene, it's a no-go on Rob Lowe's paranormal show. Definitely, if you're looking for the father-son connection, go with Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, and on my side of things, I got to give it a full-on heads-up 7-up and say that, yeah, I recommend the show.
Yeah, definitely. Then we'll move on from Jesse Ventura to another harbinger, which would be a guy that hits a little nerve with me, Dr. Stephen Greer. He's gotten pretty popular. He's got some Netflix documentaries out there, and some pretty good production, I'll say. He's got some beautiful shots and some good production. He finds tiny alien bodies. If you watch the Sirius documentary, I definitely recommend it. Yeah. I would recommend Unacknowledged as well. Definitely go watch these things. The man does good work, but, friendly rivalry. Yeah, I could say, we have not met yet on this plane or any other, but I hope that we one day will, because we do very similar work. I, too, am a doctor, although that is argued by some fuckfaces on the internet, and they can eat my ass because I am a doctor.
Yeah.
I did go through a doctoral program that was a correspondence with Arcturus City Community College, ACCC. I did the courses there and, got my doctorate. This is through a channeling process. I do teach these courses also once our website is back up on the internet. You all know the story. We've talked about it many times on here that we're having trouble with our website, our Patreon still, trying to get that up and back running from pretty much getting scrubbed from the internet, deplatformed, if you will, for spitting truth, pretty much, for getting the truth out there. And, I don't see Dr. Stephen Greer getting deplatformed. He's getting more platforms, you know what I'm saying? He's getting on fucking Netflix and briefing congressmen and shit like that. And, we're not doing any of that. We're getting our podcast and our YouTube channels and everything taken down, so...
Yeah, and guys, deplatforming is a serious issue. We were deplatformed so hard on Patreon. We haven't told you this. We're the first podcast in the history of podcasting to owe money to Patreon.
Oh yeah, they call us pretty often, trying to get that money. They've trying to get collection agencies involved. We will not pay them. They owe us money. I think. I mean, we were getting monthly income from our Patreon and the large amount of people that were involved with Bridging Realms and the Bridging Realms project. So I think they owe us money and they can fuck off. But also please reinstate our account because we do need that and we would love to be back on your service, Patreon. So fuck off, but also get our account back on.
Yeah, Patreon, I love you. Thank you so much. Please put me on there, but you can eat my pee, if you know what I'm saying.
For sure, yeah. Last but not least, I know Discovery Channel has just put out their trailer, and they're going to have a show called Contact that seems to be their answer to Unidentified. We haven't seen it yet. They seem to be heavy on the astrophysicists. Heavy on the astrophysicists. And I will say, part of my doctoral program, I did study some astrophysics, physics, if you will. However, I would call myself an amateur astrophysicist, even though I am a doctor. So they're pushing hard on this. We'll see what comes from that. But I would say for our final harbinger, I'm going to have to give it to William Shatner. His show Unexplained on History Channel seems to be the follow-up. And it's produced by the Ancient Aliens crew. So seems to be right along that same line of CIA-fed narrative.
Yeah.
Definitely a CIA-fed narrative. These scripts are probably coming just straight from the CIA. I would honestly say that the CIA and the FBI and NASA are almost like competing movie studios right now. Like, they're like fucking like Disney and Universal, you know? Just and Paramount or whatever, these competing movie studios, just seeing who can produce the best fake reality.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's been that way at least since the moon landing.
Oh, at least since the moon landing, seeing what they can pull off, and I'll tell you with Unexplained, whether that's I'd really love to know. Who's got their hand in that, whether it's the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, NASA, whatever. But they're doing a great job because Bill Shatner has never looked better. His voiceover work is unparalleled. And I'm really enjoying the show. It's great entertainment. So let's get into the topic of the day, the Greys, the Grey aliens.
Yeah, so the Greys, very commonly known.
Right, these are super mainstream aliens. Really your basic aliens. Like, they're the basic image that you see when in the mainstream when you think of an extraterrestrial, right?
Right, for sure.
They've got the elongated eyes, sometimes green, a lot of times gray, though. The popularized version is like a lime green, kind of, or a highlighter green. But that's, I think, just good for, like, glow-in-the-dark shit and shirts.
Yeah, and I think maybe their color we can't truly comprehend.
Right. I think we just see it as this dull gray, you know? And because we know from this document that they are very featureless, right? It says in the Blue Planet Project that they don't have like a nose really, just kind of slits. And same thing with the mouth; it's just kind of a slit, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're just almost completely featureless.
Right. And they don't have genitals either. I found that
smooth.
Pretty interesting that they're like smooth down there, right?
Yeah, and you gotta wonder like how exactly they're reproducing. You gotta wonder that.
Right, and that you know brings up that so many of the abduction stories involving the Greys involve like sexual experiences or sometimes harvesting of seed, or you hear a lot of theories about hybrids and crossbreeding going down. But the real thing that you hear the most of, the most common thread with the Greys is buttholes.
Yeah, it's a very common thing, and you gotta almost wonder what the obsession is. Like,
they're obsessed with buttholes.
But then, from the same standpoint, you know, if you take a human male, they're kind of obsessed with buttholes as well.
Right. And that's what the two things that the Greys were originally known for, I feel like, with their abductions were anal probing, of course.
Yeah.
Anal probes, and then cattle mutilation, right? So, really, coming out of the gate, the Greys are they're abducting rednecks on dirt roads. If you look at like the Betty Barney Hill story and shit, they're abducting countless rednecks on dirt roads. They're fucking people in the ass, and then they're mutilating, slaughtering, murdering cows.
Yeah, and I feel like Skinwalker Ranch was really a super big testing ground for them. Like, they would abduct people left and right, fuck them in the ass. They'd cut up all the cows. Like, the Skinwalker Ranch guys would just get fucking more cows, and they'd fuck them up again. Right.
They're, they call it an anal probe, and they're doing this under the guise of science. And no doubt, this isn't a very advanced race, you know what I'm saying? This is a very advanced technology that they're using here for this anal probe. So yes, it is collecting data. It is for a scientific purpose, but that doesn't change the fact that they are still fucking you in the ass. Like, they make no doubt about it. Like, you check some of these abduction stories, they are not just it's not just a simple anal probe. They have taken the technology this far to where they have figured out a way to collect the scientific data they need while fucking you in the ass.
Yeah, and I bet they get this scientific equipment from, like, the Grey equivalent of a Spencer's gift shop.
Right. Yeah, no, it's that widely available there, you know? Like, for us, like, a fucking iPhone and shit is so advanced. You think about, like, 40 years ago, the thought of an iPhone is goddamn insane,
Yeah.
And now we have it, and it's fucking magic. For them, that kind of scientific data collecting dildo or whatever is totally in a fucking Spencer's in some space mall, and you can get that, and that's what they're using, because these are the shitheads of the universe, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of the douchebags, Kyles, if you will,
Yeah.
If they had an equivalent of Monster energy drink, they're wearing that hat backwards while they fuck this cow up, blast it with a laser gun or whatever they're doing to mutilate these cows. After, that's the post-fucking celebration. After they've probed the humans, they're then going to go blast some cows and blow their guts up,
Yeah, go fucking ape shit on a cow's head with a baseball bat kind of shit.
Right, it's much like like hillbillies or white trash here on Earth will blast birds or squirrels with shotguns. They'll sometimes they'll get like assault rifles and take out 30 to 50 feral hogs that come into your yard within 3 to 5 minutes.
And your children are there.
And your fucking children are playing, like that kind of shit happens in the middle of the United States, and sometimes the coastal elites do not understand that. I've heard you talked about this. I've recently, since I've traveled a lot, lived a lot of different places in my life, I've noticed that that's an issue.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the country just realizes these coastal elites don't know how to deal with the problems that affect the everyman.
Yeah, and that's one reason that both False Freedom and myself relocated with Studio 51. And we don't like to broadcast our location, and we do move pretty often, but I can tell you that we are looking and moving more towards the middle of the country like this, because that's where things are happening, and there's more esoteric stuff there than you know. It's not just on the coasts. But with this disclosure, we're gonna be getting a lot more of the Greys out there, and so we just wanted to let you know that they are obsessed with buttholes, like we said, and they probably will be coming for yours. I mean, for years now, we know from this document and from other documents released that they've had sort of a truce or a treaty with our government that says they can abduct people and do whatever the fuck they want with our buttholes. So we've known about this. A lot of our listeners here at Bridging Realms, you probably already knew about that treaty. If you didn't, though, I'm glad to inform you now that the government has already signed away your butthole to the Greys.
To nature's biggest douchebags.
Right. The douchebags of the galaxy. I mean, they're getting in everybody's butthole. Most of the races that we've talked about in this document here on these 3 episodes, most of those races, those beings, are tired and sick and tired of the Greys dealing with people's buttholes, getting into people's buttholes, violating people's buttholes for their scientific research, as they say, which they still haven't released, from what I understand. Maybe the government has those findings, but we still don't know what they're studying about our buttholes and their contents, or our reaction to having them probed so mercilessly. So maybe we'll find that out with this disclosure. Yeah. Maybe the Greys are finally ready to release that information or those videos.
Yeah, and it almost seems like an almost endless prank, like we're all on a big fucking prank show, and they're like, see how long we can keep this treaty up where we just probe buttholes, and we're not learning anything. Nothing's stored in your butthole except shit.
Right. Maybe we'll get some answers there, and that will be the ultimate disclosure. Either way, exciting times ahead. Really, False. Really fucking exciting times. We're going to continue to give you the most up-to-date information, the most up-to-date research, because we are researching all the time. So please make sure to give to the show once we get the Patreon back up. Talk to us on social media. Tell us any stories or contact that you've had, and keep bridging those realms. We here at Bridging Realms would like to thank our sponsor, MyUndies.com, which actually, after last week going over our ad read, we did realize is not MyUndies, nor the company is actually called Mundies, and it is not actually undies at all. It is a chapstick company, Mundies Chapstick. They did send us some product. It is very good, so you should check it out. They're one of our first official sponsors of the show. I guess they heard some episodes of the new version of Bridging Realms and really liked it, and they liked the truth we're spreading. So they sent us an email. We always are happy to take sponsors, especially if it's a quality product that we like, and we tried it, we've used it, it's very good. So check it out, Mundies Chapstick. It is 100% all natural. It is made of whale cum.